I'd like to formally welcome everyone here today to Radstock and to what the Bath and West Co-op Party are calling Tim Fest, as Pete says, our celebration of the life of Tim Pearcr. And I'd especially like to welcome Tim's wife Maggie, his daughter Eleanor and her partner James and other members of Tim's family today. I'm not going to go into great detail about Tim's life because you can read it all in the excellent booklet that Pete and Maggie have put together and is available on the table to my right, and that goes into an awful lot of Tim and Maggie's life together and really gives a good example of just what a contribution Tim made to the Co-op Party and to life in general. But I am going to say what made Tim special to us here in the West Country and why we feel particularly honoured that he and Maggie spent so much time in this part of the world and gave so much back to it. As you can see in the booklet, Tim came back to the West Country as a political organiser for the Co-op Party, although only our movement could have devised a western region that went all the way from Penzance to Peterborough. And as a consequence, Tim spent lots of time travelling and more time waiting on platforms for late running trains. And I remember a number of times when I spoke to Tim on the phone, as he was waiting on one platform, I was waiting on another platform for trains that never seemed to arrive, and discussing the latest excuses from Worslake Western about why there were no trains in sight. And that probably explains why Tim decided that he wanted to get involved in developing his own railway company, one cooperatively run and owned by its passengers and staff. But Tim always made sure that he came home from these various day trips to be with his family because they were important, even though it made for very long days. And as his daughter Eleanor grew up, he had another reason for getting back on time, because as he told us, he needed to be there to feed the horses and clean the stables. That was Tim all over, always looking after his family. And I also remember spending time with Tim in his offices in Manvers Street. He had two offices in Manvers Street because he moved, where his other right-hand woman shared his life, and his secretary, who I'm hoping is coming here today. There Tim would labour over his baby, Commonweal magazine, which Tim was really proud of, where he would inspire fellow cooperators across the country with actions and ideas to take the movement forward. I was privileged to go to a number of co-op events with Tim and was amazed that Tim seemed to know everyone, but more importantly that everyone seemed to know Tim. And you didn't go a step before people coming along and saying hello to Tim, asking what he was doing and getting positive ideas. And it was those contacts and relationships that helped him in so many ways, and I'm really pleased to see a number of those colleagues here today. At heart, Tim was a practical cooperator, always willing to roll up his sleeves and get stuck in. He'd always been a member of a number of co-op societies before it became fashionable to be a member of a number of co-op societies so that you could possibly take them over. And Tim joined with me and with Pete and with Anne-Marie on the board of the Radstock Co-op Society, one of a handful of remaining independent societies across the country with their headquarters just over the road. Tim was a director for many years, becoming president, and was instrumental in helping to turn around the management of that society and helping it rediscover its cooperative values. And as I mentioned earlier, Tim's interest in railways, which probably crystallised when he and I took a nightmare train journey one year to the Co-op Congress in Manchester. Nearly 5 hours, standing all the way in the vestibule of a 3-carriage train, going all the way through Wales, stopping at every station, every halt, every crossing, and most people's back gardens, until we finally limped our way into Manchester and poured ourselves off of the train. So Tim became a founding director and chair of Go-op, and I'm pleased that Kate from Go-op is here today, a cooperatively owned open access railway company that is looking to run services through the West Country, including looking at the possibility of establishing a light rail service here in Radstock. It's fitting as we gather here today that Go-op is about to launch a track access application to Network Rail for service between Taunton and Nuneaton, including Frome, and if anyone's interested, I'm sure you're willing to talk to them about it. We lost Tim, however, all too soon. First of all, because as Eleanor moved away to live with her partner in Cornwall, Tim and Maggie found themselves spending more and more time on the motorway, going backwards and forwards to visit, again to do those things with those horses. So eventually they decided to move down to Truro to be near her and James, although Maggie, I'm sure, as I remember, you were near a railway line even then, so that message still came forward. And unfortunately, Tim had been ill for some time. He fought a long and courageous battle against cancer, but it didn't stop him from doing the things that he loved, like travelling and spending time with friends. To me, and to many people here, Tim was the living embodiment of cooperative values, someone who lived those values every day and who passed them on to everyone that he met. He was an inspiration to me and an inspiration to many others here today. That's why our branch will be moving a motion at the Co-op Party conference to establish a trust in Tim's memory to nurture and support cooperative activists in developing their understanding of our movement so that Tim's legacy can live on. That will be part of his legacy, as will the memories and experiences of everyone here today. Welcome to the event.